So when we're having thoughts that don't make us feel good, we're in a relationship with someone that doesn't make us feel good, we're in a job that doesn't make us feel good, is source energy going to offer us up experiences that are going to match up to what we are thinking, that is feeling bad, feeling horrible?
It isn't source that's giving it to you. There's no lesson being applied.
Well, I was talking about the right, certain people will show up in your life, experiences, synchronistic kinds of things.
Always. Things are always working out for you. Always.
So it's like your gauge is to look at your feeling. How do I feel? What does this feel like in my body? And if it doesn't feel good, instantly go back to whatever thought it is that I'm having that is allowing this to take place. I mean, can we all just always feel good all the time?
The way we like to explain it is that when you offer a thought about anything, Source, who is always walking with you, thinking with you, living with you, is having a thought about the same thing that you're having a thought.
That's really important to hear that.
And when you feel good, your thought's in sync with the way Source thinks about it. And when you feel bad, you're off the track of what Source knows about this. And you also have to understand that you're the one who parlayed, you're the one who told Source who you are and what you want. In other words, you are the creator of your own reality. Source is the one who holds the vibrational frequency of what you're asking for. It's not possible for you to desire something that would be detrimental to anyone because and feel good at the same time, because if you set forth an intention like that, you would deviate from the vibration of Source and you would feel the emptiness of it, you see. So it really is about caring about the way you feel, thinking more deliberately, and keeping an ear to the ground about how you feel.
And if you don't feel good?
Don't worry, it will get bigger.
What will get bigger?
The thought will get bigger, and the awareness that you have diverged from who you really are will get bigger.
And ultimately, you'll just walk away from that? You'll leave that situation? I'm thinking about, again, the movie I saw this afternoon about Steve Jobs, where it was just, he didn't feel good about just the way things were going in the working of his company and so on. And he just had an absolute knowing, which I've had my whole life, an absolute knowing about how to do what I do, and I listen nicely because I'm nicer than Steve Jobs was to people who tell me how I should be doing things. But inside there's this absolute knowing that I can't veer away from, and it's
true masters have figured out how to access this energy that creates worlds. They know what leverage feels like, and they get hooked on it. And so when you're accustomed to things moving in big ways, because you've accessed this energy, because you've figured out how to stop shooting yourself in the foot, and you've practiced it, and you've allowed the momentum to get going, then when you deviate from it, you take it pretty hard and you know it. He reached the place, and many of you do, where you just get tired of trying to convince people who are on different vibrational discs what you mean. In other words, he reached the place where he realized, and accurately, that if he were to try to convince them of the course that he believed was right, that he would risk his own alignment, and he wasn't willing to do it. And so he stepped away, created a whole other company, found vibrational alignment, and eventually things came back around to him. But the way we like to describe it is, most physical beings live in a world where they're trying to please each other. They have given their guidance system away long ago, because when your mother or someone holds you as her object of attention and approves of what you do, it feels good to you. So you keep trying to do things that will make her feel approval, which feels good to you, without realizing that every step along that way, that you are giving up your potential awareness of your own guidance that is coming forth from within. So a lot of people come to believe in action and words and group consensus, and they create to a certain degree, But compared to those who tap into this energy stream, it is a very mediocre creating. So there are a lot of people who learn to be nice because it's expected of them. And we're not saying that niceness, that you can't be nice at all situations. We're just saying it's a normal thing when you're focused upon the exact opposite of what you want. It's a normal thing to feel bad. And it is not a normal thing to convince yourself that you feel good when you don't. And that's what you witnessed in that documentary.
Right.
He wasn't willing to pretend that he was in that leverage that he was so accustomed to when he was not. And so he just stepped back and said, fine, you all do it the way you want to do it because you are beating to a different drummer than I am. And eventually they came back begging him to assist him, to assist them.
I'm thinking I've already, after I declared that I wasn't writing another book and that I was done with that and I was tired and I didn't have to do that anymore, and then I wrote for 5 straight months every single day. I'm already writing another book, and that one isn't even published yet.
There's no end to your books. Just give in to it. Just give in to it.
And I mean, 2 things. One is I was thinking, like when I was 12, 13 years old, it's one of the chapters, and I can see clearly now. I was watching, everybody else was watching Milton Berle on Tuesday nights, Mr. Tuesday Night, Mr. Comedy, and so on. But I was watching a show by a Catholic bishop, Bishop Sheen. It was called Life is Worth Living. I was 12 years old, 13 years old in 1953, and I was actually taking notes on this show because I just loved this show. I had a stepfather for a few years, and he was Catholic, and he would turn this thing on, so there was no Milton Berle where I lived. But I mean, I couldn't wait for Tuesday night, and I was thinking, 13 years old, and I'm writing notes on a show called Life is Worth Living.
Because?
Well, I've written 40 books that could have been the subtitle to.
But because, when you're 13 years old and doing that because?
Because it seems to me now as I step back, I didn't know it at the time.
Because you were doing it then because?
Because this was...
It felt good to you.
This is what I was here for.
It was clarity.
Right. So now...
So he was a man, tuned in, tapped in, turned on, offering a vibration. You listened to him long enough to feel some resonance with it.
Right.
It called you back, a very important piece in the unfolding of that which is you.
And when
he was tuning you to the frequency of your source.
Was this like extraterrestrial? Was this celestial guidance? I mean, was this...
It always is. It always is. None of you are here alone. All of you are powerful creators. All of you are meaningful and important. All of you have come with great reason and purpose. And if you don't feel fabulous, you've deviated somewhere along your trail. And it's time to wake up in the morning and reach for the high-flying disc and train yourself back on it and find out who you are.
So that everybody watching, everybody here, it's like when there's something inside of you that's calling, it's like I just think of it as a calling.
By the time you hear the calling, though, you have trained yourself to the frequency, and that calling feels like inspiration. In other words, that's when it starts being revealed to you. You start realizing it, you see. By the time you feel the calling, you've been in the frequency long enough that you're starting to translate it into something that's meaningful for you. Yeah, and that's a self-taught course.
Yeah. It's interesting because